Okay, I'm gonna let you guys introduce yourselves.
Awesome. I sat in the middle for this part, so there we go. I'm Diane Sayler. I run full funnel marketing for salty snacks at Kellanova. Kellanova used to be Kellogg. We did like a spinoff. We have a new name. It's Kellanova. My brands are Cheez-It and Pringles, and we're going to talk about Cheez-It today. Full funnel marketing is an interesting title, so I thought for a second I will explain that to you before we have a little bit of fun talking about snacks and football. Going to lighten things up a little bit. Full funnel marketing at Kellanova is defined as moving the consumer through the entire funnel journey. So while today we're going to talk a lot about upper funnel awareness and a lot of consideration, our job also entails finding those right audiences, running it through media, and taking it all the way down to purchase. We oversee media, comms, PR, social, creative, a little bit of retail media these days. So it's a big job, but we love what we do.
And I'm Jenny Lindquist. Thank you for having us here. So I am Diane's counterpart in our sweet snacking category. So I have a wide spectrum of brands. I cover Pop-Tarts, Rice Krispies Treats, Nutri-Grain Bar, RX Bar, Pure Organic, Special K Bars. I've got every kind of food consumer under my lens. So Diane talked a little bit about what full funnel marketing is. I'm going to give you kind of a elevator pitch of how our brands play within sports. I like to think that everybody knows what the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl and the Pop-Tarts Bowls are, but they are nationally televised college football bowl games. Both of our brands are the title sponsors of those. And they are played in December every single year, so right around the corner. Turn on your TVs right after the holidays for us. And really, we have utilized these as big marquee kind of cultural stages for us. So we're going to talk about that today and how both of our brands have also expanded across the full football season.
Amazing. Okay, let's get right into it. So Kellanova has leaned hard into sports as a shared cultural language. Diane, what initially drew the Cheez-It brand to the live sports arena originally?
Yeah, so what do people do when they watch sports? They snack and drink, typically. And so for us, outside of a master brand communication model, we lean into passions. And so we leaned into football as that passion. And then fun fact, what are the top three, highest performing, growing live activities to watch on your TV? NFL, college football, NBA basketball. So there's, can you guys hear me? It feels like it's going in and out.
No, you're good.
All right. So that was the adjacency. Culture, snacking occasion, and then leaning in a big national way. So while I was very inspired by a lot of the local conversation we had this morning, this is exactly the opposite on purpose.
Okay, so fun fact for everyone in the room. What's now the Pop-Tarts Bowl actually used to be the Cheez-It Bowl. In 2022 and 2023, Kellanova had Cheez-It as the title sponsor for the Cheez-It Bowl and the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, effectively owning two major college sports games in the same season. Then in 2024, Pop-Tarts took over that same primary bowl sponsorship, bringing to life a totally new creative lens to the same stage. So Kellanova has literally had back-to-back year-over-year control of one of college football's biggest moments for salty, now sweet. So, Jenny, when Pop-Tarts took over the Cheez-It Bowl property, what did this transition look like?
God. Yeah, well, number one, control is kind of a weird, there's 52 bowl games, people. Yeah. We just decided to disrupt and shake them up. So it was in 2023, so we were actually going into year 3 here. But yeah, we were approached in April of 2023, and for this kind of activation to happen in December, any marketer knows, like, we're already behind. And so when Diane and her team came to us and said, do you guys want to essentially buy this from us, take it over for us, I think there was maybe like a couple minutes of like, why? Like shocked, like stepping into like the gridiron of sports marketing, like certainly wasn't on our bingo card for the year. But after like a couple minutes of like stunned silence, we kind of reframed what the opportunity could be for us. I mean, we are trying to reshape perceptions of our brand. We are rooted in breakfast. We need to expand beyond that into kind of an anytime, anywhere snack time occasion, albeit like the sweet category doesn't really represented well, like on the tailgate table. And if it is, it's probably like a slab of Oreos that's on there, like those like sugar cookies that you get in the bakery. So we didn't attack that right away because we didn't want to be tone deaf. We didn't want to be we wanted to be self-aware. So that was kind of the initial phase. And then we stepped into like this unknown of how do you bowl? So I literally booked a meeting with Diane and her team called How to Bowl and just started peppering them with questions. And I think we are very, very lucky to have kind of Sherpas throughout our first year who laid like six years before we stepped into our first year of like what to do, mostly what not to do, what matters, you know, find the difference that makes the difference kind of thing. And then, you know, we have a shared earned agency. Our bowl owners are the same company. Shout out Florida Citrus Sports. So we had a leg up. If we were going to do it, we knew we had to do it our way. We didn't want to shadow what any other brand was doing it. And the way that we typically show up in the way that we infuse our brands into culture is by really pushing our tone. So, you know, we've had this tag, Crazy Good. It's been our tag since the early 90s, and we've really expressed it into what that means for today's modern consumer. So if we knew we were going to do it, we had to really show up the way that fans wanted to engage, and that's with fun, with joy, and absurdity.
Amazing. So how you talked a little bit about it. Dipping your toe into the sports arena is not naturally a fit for sweet. So how did you evolve kind of that perception over time and make it truly ownable for Pop-Tarts?
Yeah, so for year one, it was like, we knew we were behind. So we were like, we'll fix it in year two, just do what we can kind of thing, kind of giving ourselves like grace and space.
But then she absolutely killed it in year one,
but we
just
had,
for the record.
Yes, we had just this really crazy, bold idea. And we launched it, and quite honestly, I think we really took the internet by surprise with it. And even though year one, kind of our total approach was like earned, we'll just be an earned moment, social speak, get our name in people's mouths. It led to quite a delight of 22 million Pop-Tarts, incremental Pop-Tarts sold in the following 8 weeks. So we said year two, we've got to go more full funnel. We've got to pull in our omni counterparts. We've got to come up with like a limited time product. We've got to do hyper local marketing in the teams that are playing in our game and in the Orlando area. So really, really did that. And then this year, we are really cementing a brand platform. So really evolving, and when it comes to that, both the in-stadium and then the outer kind of viewership, we are trying to just turn over every single stone so that this can remain a really, really big cultural momentum opportunity for us to stretch into the commercial side of our business.
Mm-hmm. Okay, excellent. So question then for both of you. The Pop-Tarts and Cheez-It Citrus Bowl has become a cultural phenomena in their own rights. How do each of these brands show up differently, and how do you kind of distinct the experiences there?
Yeah, so this is my 9th. I'm coming up on my 9th kickoff on December 31st, 3:30 kick, Eastern Time, ABC.
December 27th, ABC.
So I'm coming up on my 9th. It did not look like it looks today 9 years ago. I wrote the press release for our very first bowl game, and it was a different partner. It was in Arizona. It was in a baseball stadium. It was really different. So we've really grown over time in what we do, not just in the bowl game, but actually in the full season. So a bit of a difference between our brand approaches is that football season is 7 months long. It's awesome for football fans. Like, I don't know, my house is sad when the Super Bowl comes, and my boys and husband don't know what to watch. It's the one time of year we watch a show together. But that gives us an incredible marketing platform. So it's not just the bowl game or the postseason. So we are a college football playoff sponsor. Cheez-It is an official sponsor of that. So we really have a heavy up in the postseason when it comes to the officials between the bowl and the CFP. But we start marketing at week 0. Actually, we're in store with football displays pre-week 0 because we know NFL training camp is actually the start of football season for fans who like both. So for us, that season-long communication just culminates in the bowl. And Cheez-It approaches football like a fan, because that's what's so amazing about watching football is brands are fans too. Eating Cheez-It is not going to make you run faster. It's not going to make you throw better. It's not going to make you catch the ball better. There is zero actual ability that you can get from our food, and it doesn't necessarily make you a better fan. We just want to share that fan experience with you and be the brand that really understands fandom and what it means to be along for the rides of the highs and lows of the season, which naturally culminates in postseason. The whole idea of who's in, right? Like every Tuesday, who's paying attention? I'm certainly paying attention right now. And so we actually wrote a football manifesto for our brand. Because as you can imagine, when your friend who sits near you at work then wins a Grand Lion, subtle plug for Jenny, about her first bowl game, I have my team saying like, are we trying to chase Pop-Tarts results, or are we doing a different thing? We're doing a different thing. We're doing our own thing. So we wrote a manifesto that talks about what Cheez-It means for the football season and what we want to mean in the hearts and minds of the consumer. And we really pull that through. And this year, we're focusing on the fact that real fans deserve 100% real cheese. And that obviously ties to a product RTB, but it also ties to what we call crunch time moments. So when you're watching the game, hopefully you all have seen this, you're watching the game, it goes into overtime. That overtime, that crunch time moment is sponsored by Cheez-It. And college football overtime is like really fun, but also very confusing right now. So last year, we did some explainer videos to help people understand how it's not like just another quarter anymore. Like it's very different. So we're trying to insert ourselves in those moments where the food really makes sense, but in those highs and lows and the emotions of being a fan.
I would say the one area we do have similarities in our approaches is that we both approach it as a fan and not a sponsor who's just slapping our logo. And that's about it. And then we go separate. And the way that we approach it, a la our manifesto that doesn't exist, but only in my mind, is that in football, I think we can all agree that there's a lot of rituals. There's a lot of superstitions. I have to wear this jersey. I have to make this thing and bring it to my friends, or I watch the game at my friend's house. The list goes on. And then there's debate. My team, your team, this coach, that coach. It exists everywhere. There's a lot of crossover between that and how people eat Pop-Tarts. We have over 20 different flavors. It's like, no, I stan on brown sugar cinnamon, and other people are like, no, it is frosted strawberry or unfrosted for those unique people. And then there's like the people who tear them in half, who freeze them, who toast them. So there's just this intersection of rituals and superstitions that we've really kept as our North Star in our strategy. And everything that we try to do, we try to just flip a ritual on their head. And how would Pop-Tarts approach that?
Amazing. I love the distinct approaches you each take. Thanks for insight there. That's awesome. Okay, so Jenny, Pop-Tarts leaned into humor and absurdity with your getting eaten mascot, which
we murdered him.
Which, I mean, brutal.
Sacrificed.
So, two-part question for those in the audience who are like, what are you talking about? You murdered your mascot. Let's go ahead and tell them a little bit about that. And then tell me about how you protect these really bold ideas and bring them to life.
Yeah, shout out to a roundtable later of herding cats, how to get shit done, if you want to attend it later. Yes, but when we approached our first bowl game, our earned agency was like, you got to have a mascot. And we're like, we're not really mascot peoples. And they were like, you'll get more airtime. I was like, sign me up. And so we saw so many brands turning like their food into mascots. And we said, why not turn your mascot into food? If anyone recalls, God, I would love to see a hand here. If anyone recalls the really absurd Pop-Tarts ads from the 90s, they were like cartoon sketch, and they just did anything to be eaten. We were like, that's where we pulled that from. So these mascots do all of these absurd things throughout the seasons and really leading to a spectacle up to game day. And then it's the highest honor to be chosen, sent down in the toaster, and then the winning team gets to eat it. It's like a little meta, but so that's the idea. But how to protect that? Because I've had a slew of ideas where I've had to bring into a GM or my CFO or even my North American president. I'm like, I got an idea. I need you to just sit down. And for us, our biggest priority has and will continue to be storytelling. And that doesn't change for when you go internal and you're talking to stakeholders, because a bold, big, creative idea with pointy edges has to, one, have a Sherpa who will protect it, but has the ability to flex the story based on how your internal stakeholders will best receive that idea. So you're protecting the idea, you're flexing the story of what it means to them. So that's how we've been able to approach it, is making sure that when we feel passionate and united about an idea, we protect the idea, and we kind of flex how that comes to life from a financial lens, from how it's going to move product to how it's going to get headlines.
Beautiful. Well said. Okay, so one question before we go to the audience, and then I know we want to have some time for some Q&A. So I'm just going to pick one here from my long list of questions I have left for you. Let's go with, okay, both of your brands have had viral WTF moments. You talked about getting, your poor little mascot eaten. What has been your favorite moment and why?
My favorite moment for my brand.
Or inside or outside of your brand. Free reign.
So I will say, as a marketer, when I walked on the field for the first time to see the stadium that I had been working on for all of this time, I'm standing on my logo on a 50-yard line, it was really amazing. And then just to be there, the baseball one, it just didn't have the same impact of walking into the actual football stadium one. So I'm talking about that moment. It was amazing. And then to see the reaction that we had a mascot first, Jenny pulled insights from what Cheez-It had done, which was essentially taking logo slap bowls and making them way more fun to watch. And so seeing the mascot interact, seeing people play that back online, it was like a 50-hour fever dream from walking on the field to game day and scrolling and seeing the reaction. So as a marketer, bringing that to life on paper is one thing, but then being there and seeing it through and then seeing the reaction, it was really, really amazing and very rewarding.
That's epic. Okay, so let's hit the audience for some Q&A. Anyone have a question here for Diane or Jenny?
And
while
Kate, we'll call on you. I've seen this done before. It's not pretty.
I have questions, so don't.
Okay.
Right here up front.
Hi, I'm Melissa Martin from Synergistic. Talking about target audience, I know we've talked about that quite a bit today. Can you expand a little bit on who is each of your individual brands' target audience, and how does that come to life from a sports sponsorship standpoint?
Yeah, I can go first. I mean, Cheez-It as a master brand has a pretty wide audience of salty snackers, but those who are not necessarily concerned about extreme flavors. So we have, a beachhead on them and all of the marketing and the insights work that goes along with them. For sports specifically, we have a creative design target of avid fans. So we know that if we can connect with an avid fan, that halos out to the casual fan. And when we say avid fan, it's the person in the house who knows everything about football, follows both the live game, plus they probably have X up, and then they are on Reddit and they have their fan pages. That's a bit of a different fan than the casual fan who might be the one who's oh, I want to buy some fun snacks for my family this weekend, or we have a tailgate, and thinking through more of the planning and the social aspect of sports viewing. And so we capture the avid fan directly, and then we halo out to the casual fan, and then more broadly to what we would call our strategic audience of salty satisfaction seekers is their official name.
I think we're sweet family fun.
Yeah, they all have very cheesy names.
Yeah, I mean, very well said. Similar approach. You flip a salty into a sweet consumer, and it's kind of like-minded there. Our creative design target, specifically for Pop-Tarts, is of course, people who buy within the category, right, as our baseline. But then we layer on a ton of psychographics and behaviorals, just to get it really, I don't want to say niche, but niche enough to build out communications where we know it's really going to land. Then we start to scale it out at the media level. So people who love to take risks, people who are serious about their flavor and protect that principle, if you will. So that's the biggest way that we approach it. We scale it out for media, but then we bring it back in for football. So it's basically our creative design target with a layer of college football fans on top of it.
And some alliteration, which I love. We have one person right here, another one.
Hi, Anna Clark from Reddit. I'm curious of how you guys attribute ROI for events that can sometimes be harder, I imagine, to track ROI.
Invest in a Nielsen study.
Nielsen evaluation.
Like hardcore pays back. So both of us know our 10x, 8x, 9x, 20x, 1x, whatever it is, right, on investment that we can rattle right off when we're pushed on the value of the bowl. We then can break it down in our Nielsen study of which elements drove the most value. So the in-game itself, the social conversation, the earned, the partnerships, whatever it is that you put in, we slice it out. And so I know which parts of the game are the most valuable from a ROI standpoint based on Nielsen, because Nielsen is what's going to tie it for me, for CPG, in a different way than all of the other metrics that, yes, we use, but the most powerful of all is the Nielsen study.
All right, we got another quick one right here.
I'll try to be quick. Ian Simpson from Pathmatics. I'm just genuinely curious, there's such a huge trend right now in the market towards the healthy side of snacking. And I wonder if any of you or your company, you all have those portfolios, would you ever take one of those products and put them in a bowl situation and promote those versus one of these?
Yeah, I think there's a couple ways to unwire that. So I have a category that has a wide spectrum of, I'll call it taste enjoyment and better for you, more health halo brands. The good news is that those health halo brands are growing double digit right now. There's so much tailwind behind them. The challenge in that is that their baseline awareness and just the base size of their business is 4x smaller than a Pop-Tarts. So there would be more of an uphill battle for me if I were to do that. Now, I think the other way to kind of answer your question is a product that we just launched with Pop-Tarts, which is our Pop-Tarts protein. And I think you can have a whole conversation around ingredients and macros and NFPs and all of that, but it just goes to show that big CPG, big corporate CPG does have the ability to listen, innovate. It was a 4-month agile project that we brought to life. I will not be saying if it is in the bowl this year, but I will say that our communications launch tomorrow, so maybe we can talk about it at happy hour.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jenny Lindquist, Diane Sayler. Let's have a round of applause for. Thank you.